The purpose of this hearing is to examine the impact of open border policies to the law enforcement community and how transnational criminal organizations are taking advantage of the Biden-Harris administration's lack of border control. Without objection, the gentleman from California, Mr. Correa, may sit with the subcommittee and question today's witnesses. That I recognize myself for an opening statement. Today, the Subcommittee on Emergency Management and Technology will examine how President Biden's open border policies have threatened and endangered law enforcement officers across this great nation. Before we begin, I want to thank our witnesses for coming to testify about the threats you and your communities have faced. As a retired NYPD detective, I know you have a difficult job, and we are all grateful for your strong commitment to keeping Americans safe, no matter the threats posed against your own personal safety. We commend you for your bravery and service to this great country, and we look forward to hearing your testimony on how Congress can better support you. Secondly, I want to share that it's been an honor to serve as chairman of this subcommittee. I have enjoyed working with my fellow members, staff, and with Ranking Member Carter throughout the last 2 years. Together, we investigated several challenges posed against this great nation's homeland and evaluated the best approaches for moving forward. From grappling with the consequences of open border policies on public safety to assessing fire safety, evolving technology, and our national preparedness, we have worked hard to shine a light on the issues impacting Americans across the country and to improve our everyday lives. While much remains uncertain, I know that our best days are ahead, and I will keep serving this great nation and the people of New York's 4th Congressional District to make it a safe place that we all love. In this subcommittee's previous hearings, we have heard reports of how Americans across this country have endured the devastating consequences of President Biden's open border policies. We learned that transnational criminal organizations such as Tren de Agua and MS-13 are empowered by the United States' failure to secure the southwest border and enforce existing immigration laws. Transcriminal organizations have exploited the chaos at the border and have set up extensive human smuggling operations, drug distribution networks, and human trafficking pipelines. Even in the last few months, it has become abundantly clear that criminals are not only benefiting from the Democrats' failure to maintain law and order, but they're also being emboldened by it. For instance, earlier this summer, Immigration, Customs Enforcement, Homeland Security investigations warned local law enforcement across the country that a Venezuelan gang gave its members a, quote, green light to attack and fire upon U.S. law enforcement. The Venezuelan criminal organization has been deemed, quote, MS-13 on steroids, establishing drug trafficking, migrant smuggling, human trafficking, and extortion networks throughout the United States of America. While the gang originally formed in Venezuelan prison, it has expanded throughout Latin America and the United States, congregating particularly in Texas, Colorado, and my home state of New York. Earlier this year, 2 New York City police officers were assaulted by a migrant shelter near Times Square. One police officer was repeatedly kicked in the head while both of them were surrounded by 13 other people. Shortly after, Manhattan District Attorney Alvin Bragg released the suspects without bail, a sickening move that was even criticized by Governor Hochul. Tren de Agua's green light to attack United States law enforcement is particularly concerning, considering last year assaults against American law enforcement officers reached a 10-year high. Not only that, but our nation's law enforcement agencies have become strained and overwhelmed due to increasing 9/11 calls and other demands related to the influx of migrants. Instead of supporting suspected criminals endangering our nation's police officer, we should be securing the southwest border, enforcing our nation's laws, and making our police officers' job easier, not more difficult. In an article by the Wall Street Journal, Joseph Kenney, the chief of detectives for the New York City Police Department, recently said that the Venezuelan gang brought, quote, a wave of crime that New York City, quote, has never seen before. From shooting at 2 NYPD police officers who were at a traffic stop, to retail theft, to moped robberies, and more, Tren de Aragua has overwhelmed the NYPD and surrounding communities. I'm concerned about incentives for Venezuelan criminals to take up shop in communities throughout the United States of America. We know nothing about their criminal history, and they've gained a foothold in the U.S. because of the Biden administration's and local sanctuary city policies. As members of this committee, we need to prioritize the safety of those who put their lives on the line for ours. Thank you again to our witnesses for your courage and your service despite the challenges you've faced. Again, I always have the back of law enforcement agencies throughout every corner of this country.